Silence is not weakness. Silence is not ignorance. Silence is power. There are moments in life when the greatest strategy is not in the multitude of words, but in the wisdom of restraint. In times of conflict, when emotions rise and tempers flare, silence becomes a shield. It is the discipline of the strong, the wisdom of the discerning, and the strategy of those who understand the weight of words. When you are misunderstood, when people speak against you, when your name is twisted and misrepresented, silence is not defeat, it is wisdom. A response given in haste, driven by emotion, can do more damage than the accusation itself. But when you remain silent, you allow truth to rise on its own. Truth is like a lion. It does not need defending. It only needs to be set free. Silence is also a weapon in the face of provocation. Not every battle requires your participation. Some fights are distractions designed to pull you away from your destiny. When you refuse to respond, when you hold your peace, you rob the enemy of his power. Your silence frustrates those who seek to control you with their words. It forces them to wrestle with their own assumptions while you continue to walk in purpose. In moments of decision making, when the pressure is high and the expectations of others weigh heavy, silence allows clarity to emerge. A mind that is noisy cannot hear wisdom. A heart that is restless cannot discern direction. The greatest decisions are not made in the midst of chatter, but in the stillness of reflection. In moments of conflict, emotions often run high, and the natural response is to defend, explain, or retaliate. However, wisdom teaches that not every conflict requires a verbal response. Silence in conflict is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of strength and self-control. It takes more power to restrain one's words than to unleash them in the heat of the moment. When you respond in anger, you surrender control to the situation, allowing emotions to dictate your actions rather than wisdom. But when you remain silent, you maintain control over yourself and the outcome. People often misunderstand silence, assuming it to be an admission of guilt or a lack of confidence. However, silence can be a strategic tool that allows truth to reveal itself in time. When accusations arise and words are thrown at you like arrows, silence becomes your shield. Words spoken in defense can sometimes add fuel to the fire, giving those who oppose you more to twist and manipulate. But silence disarms them. It leaves no room for misinterpretation, no ammunition for them to use against you. There are times when people will try to provoke you, pushing you to react so they can justify their own actions. They want to see you lose control because it validates their assumptions about you. But when you refuse to engage, when you hold your peace, their power over you is broken. Silence forces them to wrestle with their own words and assumptions without your participation. It creates an atmosphere where truth can emerge without interference. In conflict, the mind often races with possible responses, crafting the perfect defense, the sharpest comeback, or the most convincing argument. But wisdom teaches that not every thought needs to be spoken. Silence allows for reflection, for measured responses instead of impulsive reactions. It provides space to assess the situation with clarity rather than emotion. Those who master silence understand that words once spoken cannot be taken back. A single sentence spoken in anger can destroy relationships, damage reputations, and create wounds that take years to heal. But silence prevents unnecessary damage. The power of silence is also evident in how it influences others. When a person remains silent in the face of conflict, it often shifts the atmosphere. The aggressor, expecting resistance, is met with restraint instead. This unexpected response can change the dynamics of the situation, diffusing tension rather than escalating it. Silence has a way of exposing the true nature of a person. When you remain silent, you give the other person room to reveal their intentions, their heart, and their true motives. Those who understand the power of silence know that it is not about avoiding conflict, but about choosing battles wisely. It is about knowing when speaking will bring resolution and when it will only add to the chaos. It is about having the discipline to remain still when everything in you wants to respond. It is about trusting that truth does not need to be shouted, it only needs to stand. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not every provocation deserves a response. In life, there will always be people who seek to test your patience, challenge your character, and push you into reacting in ways that do not align with who you truly are. These provocations come in many forms: harsh words, unfair criticism, intentional disrespect, or even subtle manipulation designed to trigger a reaction. But silence in the face of provocation is not weakness. It is a strategy that robs the instigator of their power. When someone tries to provoke you, their goal is to control your emotions. They want to pull you into their chaos and make you respond on their terms. They seek to dictate the atmosphere, stir up conflict, and cause you to act out of frustration rather than wisdom. But when you choose silence, you deny them the satisfaction of seeing you react. You strip them of the ability to manipulate you. Your refusal to engage forces them to confront their own intentions, often leaving them frustrated because their attempt to control you has failed. Silence is also a form of discipline. It requires self-retrainal to resist the urge to defend yourself, to correct the false narratives being spoken against you, or to respond with words that match the intensity of the attack. Many people believe that strength is proven in verbal retaliation, but true strength is revealed in the ability to remain composed in the face of provocation. The strongest individuals are not those who speak the loudest or argue the best, but those who can remain calm when everything around them is designed to provoke a reaction. There is also wisdom in silence when provoked. Not all battles are worth fighting, and not all conflicts deserve your time and energy. Engaging in every argument drains your strength and distracts you from what truly matters. Silence helps you discern between a fight that will lead to growth and a conflict that will only bring unnecessary damage. When you respond to provocation, you often lower yourself to the level of the person instigating it. You give them power over your emotions, and you allow them to dictate your actions. But when you remain silent, you rise above the situation, maintaining your dignity and focus. Silence can also expose the true motives of those who provoke. When someone does not get the reaction they are looking for, their intentions become clearer. A person who thrives on conflict will continue to push, hoping to get a rise out of you. But when you do not respond, their frustration reveals their true purpose. Some people are not looking for understanding or resolution. They are looking for control. By refusing to engage, you force them to face the reality that they have no power over you. Choosing silence and provocation is a choice to protect your peace. It is a refusal to allow outside forces to dictate your inner stability. It is the ability to remain firm in who you are, regardless of what others do to shake you. Silence in decision-making is one of the most powerful tools a person can use. In a world filled with noise, opinions, and constant distractions, the ability to pause, reflect, and seek clarity before making a decision is a mark of wisdom. Many people rush into choices because of pressure from others, fear of missing out, or the urgency of the moment. However, decisions made in haste often lead to regret. Silence creates space for thoughtful reflection, allowing wisdom to rise above impulse. When faced with an important decision, the noise of external voices can be overwhelming. Friends, family, colleagues, and even society all have opinions about what should be done. While advice can be valuable, too many voices create confusion. Silence helps filter out unnecessary noise so that the decision is based on clarity rather than external influence. Taking a step back from conversations and seeking stillness allows a person to hear their own thoughts, separate truth from pressure, and make a choice that aligns with their values and long-term vision. Silence also allows intuition and discernment to operate. Many of the best decisions are not made through logic alone, but through an inner knowing that comes from deep reflection. Rushing into a choice does not give the mind and heart time to process all aspects of a situation. When a person embraces silence, they create an environment where intuition has room to speak. Some answers do not come through external sources, but from within. By practicing stillness, a person strengthens their ability to recognize what truly feels right and align with their purpose. Silence is also a protection against manipulation. In moments of decision-making, there will always be those who try to influence the outcome for their own benefit. Some people use persuasive words to sway others toward choices that serve their personal interests rather than the greater good. A person who responds too quickly can fall into the trap of making a choice before fully understanding the implications. Silence acts as a shield against being pressured or coerced. It provides time to evaluate whether the motives of those offering advice are genuine or self-serving. Silence in decision-making also prevents the mistakes that come from reacting emotionally. Emotions are powerful, and while they should not be ignored, they should not be the sole driver of choices. Many decisions made in anger, excitement, or fear lead to consequences that could have been avoided with patience. By remaining silent and allowing emotions to settle, a person gains perspective. What seems urgent in the moment may not be as critical once time has been taken to reflect. Silence is also a key to hearing divine guidance. In a world filled with distractions, it is difficult to recognize wisdom when the mind is constantly occupied. Some of the greatest revelations come in moments of stillness, where external noise is shut out and space is created for deeper understanding. Those who master the art of silence in decision-making do not make choices based on impulse, pressure, or fleeting emotion. They make decisions rooted in clarity, wisdom, and purpose. Being misunderstood is one of the most challenging experiences in life. When people misinterpret your words, judge your actions unfairly, or question your motives without seeking to understand the truth, the natural instinct is to defend yourself. The desire to explain, to clarify, and to prove your integrity can be overwhelming. However, not every misunderstanding requires a response. Silence in these moments is not an admission of guilt or an act of surrender. It is an act of wisdom. Words spoken in defense often do little to change the minds of those who have already decided what they want to believe. Some people are not looking for the truth. They are looking for confirmation of their own assumptions. No matter how well you explain yourself, they will twist your words, ignore your explanations, and continue believing what suits their perspective. Responding to them only fuels their desire to engage in unnecessary debate. Silence removes the opportunity for them to manipulate the situation further. There are moments when actions speak louder than words. Time has a way of revealing truth more effectively than any argument ever could. When you remain silent and continue to walk in integrity, your life becomes your defense. The consistency of your character will prove who you truly are. And those who once misunderstood you will either come to see the truth or be left without an excuse. Silence allows you to focus on living rather than wasting energy on proving. Silence also protects your peace. Engaging in endless explanations and justifications can drain emotional and mental energy. When you feel the need to explain yourself constantly, you place your sense of peace in the hands of others. Not everyone deserves access to your emotions, and not everyone is worthy of an explanation. When you choose silence, you take back control over your peace, refusing to be disturbed by the opinions of those who are not truly seeking to understand. It is also important to recognize that misunderstanding is often a test of patience and maturity. Many great leaders, visionaries, and pioneers have been misunderstood. The higher the calling, the greater the potential for misinterpretation. When you choose silence, you demonstrate strength. You show that your purpose is greater than the need to be understood by everyone. Not everyone will see the vision you carry, and not everyone will agree with the path you take. Trying to explain yourself to those who do not have the capacity to understand can be a distraction from the bigger picture. There is wisdom in knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. Silence does not mean you do not care, and it does not mean you are weak. It simply means you have chosen to let truth reveal itself in time rather than exhausting yourself trying to convince those who are not willing to listen. People will always have opinions, but your responsibility is not to change their minds. It is to stay true to your purpose and let your life speak for itself. Not every question deserves an answer, and not every argument is worth engaging in. There will always be people who challenge you, not because they seek wisdom or understanding, but because they desire conflict. Some arguments are not based on a pursuit of truth, but are designed to provoke, to distract, and to pull you into unnecessary debates that bear no fruit. In these moments, silence is the highest form of wisdom. Choosing not to engage is not a sign of ignorance. It is a sign of discernment. There are individuals who ask questions not to learn, but to trap. They come with sarcasm, skepticism, and a desire to twist words rather than seek clarity. Engaging in discussions with such people is futile because their minds are already made up. No amount of explanation will satisfy them, and no amount of reasoning will change their perspective. The more you explain, the more they twist your words. The more you try to prove your point, the deeper they drag you into senseless arguments. Silence denies them the satisfaction of controlling the conversation. It removes their ability to manipulate your words and forces them to wrestle with their own motives. Silence in the face of ignorance also protects your peace. Arguing with those who are not interested in truth is an exhausting and fruitless endeavor. It drains emotional and mental energy that could be used for greater things. When you engage in debates that have no purpose, you allow others to dictate where your focus and energy go. Wisdom teaches that not every battle is worth fighting, and some victories come not from speaking, but from remaining silent and walking away. There are also moments when silence exposes the true nature of others. When a person is looking for an argument and you refuse to respond, they often become frustrated. Their irritation reveals that their goal was never understanding, but rather control. Some people only seek to argue because they want to prove themselves right, not because they desire to gain insight. When you choose silence, you remove yourself from their game. You force them to contend with their own motives, and in many cases you expose the emptiness of their argument without having to say a single word. Silence can also be an act of wisdom in protecting your words. When emotions are high and frustration sets in, it is easy to say something that may later be regretted. Engaging in an argument with someone who does not seek understanding often leads to saying things out of frustration rather than wisdom. But when you choose to remain silent, you give yourself time to reflect, to process, and to decide whether speaking will bring resolution or simply fuel unnecessary conflict. Knowing when to remain silent is just as important as knowing when to speak. Wisdom is not found in the abundance of words, but in the ability to discern which conversations are worth having and which ones are better left unanswered. When a person learns the power of silence in the face of ignorance, they rise above petty conflicts and walk in a peace that cannot be shaken. Silence is often misunderstood as passivity, but in reality, it is one of the most powerful strategies a person can use. Knowing when to speak and when to remain silent is a mark of wisdom, strength, and discipline. Those who master silence do not allow circumstances or people to dictate their responses. They understand that silence is not a sign of weakness, but a conscious decision to maintain control over themselves and the situation. It is a strategic move that commands respect and shifts the dynamics of any interaction. One of the most powerful aspects of silence is its ability to create an atmosphere of authority. People who speak less are often perceived as more knowledgeable, more confident, and more in control. When a person is quick to respond to every situation, their words lose weight. But when someone speaks with intentionality and restraint, their words become more valuable. Silence forces others to lean in, to listen more carefully, and to consider the significance of what is being said when words are finally spoken. Silence also gives a person the upper hand in negotiations, conflicts, and difficult conversation. Many people feel uncomfortable with silence and rush to fill it with words. This often leads to revealing too much information, making unnecessary concessions, or exposing weaknesses. But a person who is comfortable with silence maintains the advantage. They allow the other person to speak first, to reveal their position, and sometimes to contradict themselves without realizing it. In this way, silence is not passive. It is a tool used to gain insight, to observe, and to control the direction of a conversation. Another way silence becomes a power move is in emotional control. In moments of anger, frustration, or pressure, the instinct is often to react immediately. But a person who has mastered silence does not allow their emotions to dictate their words. Instead, they pause, reflect, and choose their responses carefully. This ability to remain silent when provoked shows immense inner strength. It communicates that a person is not easily swayed, not easily manipulated, and not controlled by the emotions of the moment. It commands respect from those around them because it shows a level of self-mastery that is rare. Silence also creates mystery and unpredictability. When people cannot easily read your thoughts or predict your next move, they become more cautious in how they engage with you. Those who always speak their mind and react impulsively are easy to manipulate because their intentions are always clear. But those who know how to remain silent hold an air of mystery. This unpredictability forces others to respect them, to be more thoughtful in their interactions, and to be careful in how they approach them. Finally, silence demonstrates confidence. A person who feels the need to explain themselves constantly, to argue every point, or to prove their worth through words often lacks true confidence. But someone who knows their value does not need to convince others of it. They let their presence, their actions, and their results speak for them. Their silence is not emptiness, it is power in its purest form. Silence is not weakness, it is wisdom in action. It is the ability to remain in control when emotions demand reaction, to choose peace over unnecessary conflict, and to allow truth to reveal itself in time. Whether in conflict, provocation, decision-making, misunderstanding, ignorance, or power moves, silence serves as a shield, a strategy, and a source of strength. Those who master silence do not waste energy on battles that do not serve their purpose. They understand that not every argument is worth engaging in, not every attack requires a response, and not every situation demands an explanation. True power is not in the abundance of words, but in the discipline to know when to speak and when to remain silent. Those who walk in this wisdom command respect, protect their peace, and navigate life with a strength that cannot be shaken.